He pulled over at the shoulder, and I thought this is the moment he's going to kill me because he was so angry.
She thought she was going to be killed, the passenger accusing an Uber driver of rape.
Some advice for other drivers from a woman who was pulled over by a fake deputy.
Good food, good drink, all in one place. It's a co-op.
Plus, how a teenage golfer is turning the worst moment of his life into a hole-in-one and helping others.
And a special thank you to all of the people you've helped in the Zevely Zone.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts now.
An Uber passenger says her ride turned into a horrific experience. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marcella Lee.
And I'm Kirsten Holmes in for Carlo Cicchetto. 43-year-old Michael Marcus Jordan has been charged with sexual assault connected to 3 different incidents. One involves an Uber passenger.
Tonight, that woman is sharing her story to warn others and put pressure on Uber to do more to keep riders safe. CBS 8's Abby Alford has her story.
Jane Doe says the Uber driver dropped her off here at this AM PM and then offered to take her back to Alpine so she wouldn't have to wait for another driver. She says the drive here was fine, but on the way home was a nightmare.
So when he started groping at me, I felt absolute panic.
Exactly 2 years ago, and you can still hear the terror in Jane Doe's voice.
I can't take car rides. I can't live my life like a normal person.
Jane describes the horror while riding in the back seat of an Uber from El Cajon to Alpine. She says it was 2:30 in the afternoon and she dozed off.
And he was starting to slide his hand up underneath my skirt and like groping on the inside of my thighs.
The young woman says that she panicked as the driver, now identified as 43-year-old Michael Marcus Jordan, sexually assaulted her.
He grabbed my hand and was trying to like hold on to me and still trying to pull my skirt up while also simultaneously trying to control the car and every once in a while stopping to like quickly masturbate.
Jane says Jordan is 7 feet tall, so he had to push his seat all the way back.
Could drive with one arm and still reach me in the back seat and like, you know, elbow me and like try to like grab my neck and stuff.
She screamed, begging him to stop, but he became angrier and swerved up onto the shoulder.
And I felt that this is the moment he's going to kill me, like this is it.
Jane says that she managed to jump out of the car, waving people down for help. Eventually, a mother and her kids took her to a gas station to call CHP and report the alleged sexual assault.
It didn't feel fair, like why me again? I don't know what I did to like deserve it.
Jane Doe says that she's been assaulted before, and this is not the first time Jordan has been accused of rape.
Then not only does he have like violent criminal history, but he has sexually assaulted other women, and they still hired him. And to me, that is mind-boggling.
A criminal complaint filed this week shows Jordan's been charged with 3 different sexual assaults stemming from January 2020, then the Jane Doe case in October 2020, and another one in July 2021. Records also show in 2006, Jordan was convicted and served almost 12 years in prison for felony assault with a deadly weapon as a second striker. Uber says Jordan joined the platform in October 2019 before the most recent sex assault charges, and he passed initial background checks. They say drivers cannot access the app if they have felonies within 7 years. Jane Doe says that's not good enough and is suing Uber in civil court. In a statement, an Uber spokesperson wrote, "We take reports of sexual assault seriously. We can say that we prioritize safety, which is why we invest in building in-app safety features." Jane Doe says that she wants Uber to be held accountable so this doesn't ever happen to another passenger.
And at this point, I mostly just want acknowledgement, and I want to be able to move on with my life, and I want to be able to heal.
I'm Abby Alford, CBS 8.
Thank you, Abby. A 19-year-old swim instructor is accused of sexually abusing a 7-year-old boy during private swimming lessons. Sheriff's investigators arrested Nicholas Piazza after the boy told his mother Piazza sexually assaulted him during 2 private swim lessons in Rancho Santa Fe last month. Piazza was also an instructor at Callan Swim School in San Marcos. A former manager at the school tells us there were 2 other incidents there where Piazza was accused of inappropriate behavior with children, but was kept on as an instructor at the school.
I believe he was kept because he was the assistant manager's son. And to be quite honest, the owner, Brett Callan, I was told by him and his wife, Yvette, that he should be in the water as little as possible.
Tonight, Callan Swim School reached out to us with a statement. According to the school, Piazza is no longer employed there and was not employed there at the time of the alleged assault in Rancho Santa Fe. They added that Callan Swim School would never put any of its students' safety in jeopardy. Meantime, sheriff's investigators are asking for the public's help tonight to find more possible victims. We are following the story and will have much more on later editions of CBS 8 and our online platforms.
Mayor Todd Gloria says San Diego is getting $25 to $30 million from the state to open and run homeless shelters.
He announced that at today's monthly media briefing. Reporters questioned the mayor about the homeless crisis, and he responded to recent criticism from former NBA star Bill Walton on the city's efforts.
This job causes you to be held accountable for everything. You know, I have a sign on my desk that says the buck stopped here. And I get that. You know, you're held accountable for things you did. You get accountable for things you didn't do, things you have nothing to do with, things that are other people's problems.
Mayor Gloria also points out that his administration is increasing shelter capacity and adding affordable housing. The city is also enforcing a policy that's been used before, that people who are homeless take down their tents from sidewalks during the day. A woman in North County is speaking out tonight after a man who was impersonating a deputy tried to pull her over in Oceanside.
Yeah, as CBS 8's David Gottfredson reports, Alicia Engel has a warning for other drivers. Do not pull over if you don't feel safe.
I was driving to work. I worked the night shift, and I was on a windy, kind of dark road.
It was 11:30 at night, and Alicia Engel had a bad feeling about the car behind her with flashing red and blue lights.
I kind of was suspicious right away because it was not the kind of car that cops drive.
The man following her on North River Road in Oceanside, allegedly impersonating a deputy, was Michael Carmichael, driving a Toyota Camry.
It was like swerving back and forth, like flashing his high beams at me. Like, obviously this person wanted me to pull over.
But Alicia did not pull over. Instead, she drove to a well-lit intersection and called 911. Suddenly, the car with flashing lights behind her was gone. The next month, Carmichael was arrested after a deputy noticed him on the side of the road pulling over a different woman. Carmichael fled the scene and crashed his Camry into a tree.
They say, oh, he didn't intend to assault anybody. I don't know how they can know that, considering he had all these dangerous weapons.
Deputies found sheriff's tactical gear, including a pellet gun, brass knuckles, and a baton. Carmichael was charged in court with pulling over 7 different drivers, but he ended up pleading guilty to 1 felony count of evading arrest and 1 felony count of impersonating an officer. The other charges, including Alicia's incident, were dropped as part of a plea bargain.
That plea bargain kind of happened like out of nowhere behind the victims, but like we weren't taken into consideration at all.
To make matters worse, Alicia and the other victims were unable to speak at Carmichael's sentencing hearing last month because of a miscommunication about where the court hearing was held.
I wanted to speak in court because I wanted to ask that they give him a fair punishment. I don't feel that letting him back out on probation is at all beneficial to anybody.
Alicia has a warning for other drivers.
All I can say is just be safe. Don't ever pull over for someone if you don't feel safe. Wait till you're in a lit intersection.
Carmichael was sentenced last week to 1 year in jail, but because of good behavior credits, he only has to serve about half of that time. And because of credits for time served since his arrest, his projected release date is November 10th.
Wow, that's in just about a month. Now, David, people might think this is not something that happens very often, but I understand that Alicia, the woman in your story, had been pulled over before by someone else impersonating an officer.
Yeah, believe it or not, she told me she was pulled over by this guy last year in Riverside County. His name is Ryan Meeker. He was convicted up there, and he currently is on probation for impersonating an officer. So maybe Alicia's just unlucky, but it does seem to happen more frequently than you might think.
And again, the message, do not pull over if you don't feel safe. Thanks so much, David, for sharing that story.
Well, it's not enough to put a dent in your spending, but the average price for gas did drop a penny. in San Diego overnight. For a gallon of regular unleaded, the average tonight is $6.42. That's down 1 cent from $6.43 yesterday. But it's still 22 cents more than it was a week ago at this time. And in the meantime tonight, let's talk about something that has a lot of you worried. OPEC says it's cutting oil production to boost oil prices. President Biden is expected to order the release of up to 10 million gallons of oil from U.S. reserves. The goal here is to try and curb more spikes in what we pay for gas. And you could get some extra money in your bank account tomorrow. That's when the state will start depositing the first round of payments for the middle class tax refund. Payments range anywhere between $200 to $1,050. Everyone who is eligible is expected to have their payments by January.
At least 37 people are dead after a mass shooting and stabbing attack at a daycare center in Thailand.
Yeah, this is now the deadliest mass shooting in Thailand ever carried out by a single suspect. CBS's Ian Lee has the latest.
Shock and grief in Thailand after a man stormed a nursery with guns and a knife, killing more than 20 children. Among the dead, a 2-year-old and a pregnant teacher. The shooting happened north of Thailand's capital, Bangkok, in the Naklong district. Witnesses say the 34-year-old opened fire on the daycare, then realized his child wasn't there. Authorities say he headed for home, running a woman off the road and still firing from his car as he fled. Officials say he then killed his wife and child before taking his own life. Authorities identified the attacker as an ex-police officer who was fired last year for alleged drug use. The country's prime minister has ordered a fast-track investigation into how this happened. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Gun laws are strict in Thailand, where possession of an illegal firearm carries a prison sentence of up to 10 years. Just possession of an illegal firearm. Police say this attacker legally purchased the gun used in today's killings.